Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another 2023 horror movie review. And in this one is Thanksgiving. And I just got back from the movie theater and it was awesome. Just like you. You look absolutely beautiful today. And so I am going to talk some spoilers in this one, but let's get right down to it. The movie's going to start with the Black Friday sale, which now is going to happen during Thanksgiving dinner. And so this big store in town is going to have the first Black Friday sale. And there is a mob of people wanting to get into the store, but they only hired 2 security guards. And things are starting to get out of hand because it's like 10 minutes before the store is supposed to open. So not everyone, the first 100 people will get a free waffle pan, a waffle maker. And so like these people are going absolutely crazy to get into the store, but they're barricaded. But a group of friends with the owner's daughter is able to sneak into the store. Not really sneak into the store, they go in through the employee entrance. And there's some people in the crowd, in the mob, saying, why are they in the store before us? Why do they get to go in and we can't? And they're like, security locking the door, and then the barricade breaks down and the whole mob runs to the front of the store and the windows, and they're trying to break in, and the door's locked, and there's some other people inside the store. They're just like, and they're like, just let him in, just let him in. And once the security guard tries to open the door, he can't. The door breaks and it falls on him and he gets trampled over. And another guy is trying to get into the store with a jagged piece of glass on the door. This cuts him and rips him open, and blood starts squirting everywhere while everybody is trampling over the other security guard to get into the store. And now Gina Gershon's character is there, and she was gonna give a plate of Thanksgiving dinner to her husband when the crowd tramples her and her head gets smashed between 2 shopping carts, and they're trying to pull the shopping carts away, and 2 Patreons are yelling at each other while her dead body is between their carts, and they pull it away, and half of her sculpt gets ripped off and then dragged down the aisle of the store with blood just following it. And then Patrick Dempsey's character shows up, Sheriff Newland, and he's just seeing the crowd going crazy, and he holds up his gun and he fires it. And that was the previous year in Thanksgiving, and now we're going to flash forward to our story. So we're going to follow the group of friends that were in the store earlier previous year that made the mob go crazy, and they all start like receiving these messages that they're tagged in from John Carver, and it is some seductive text that is coming on. They take it to the police. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And Thanksgiving's getting ready to happen again. Black Friday is getting ready to happen again. And so now, like, the town is kind of on edge. Some people don't want the store to have a Black Friday sale because of the tragedy that happened the year before. And one of the town members, the one that slammed Gina Gershon's character's head with the shopping cart, is closing up the cafe at night, and she's all there by herself, and she's getting ready to leave, but then she hears a noise when all of a sudden John Carver shows up and grabs her and slams her in the sink with a bunch of water, and then pulls her head up, opens up the freezer door and pushes her head up against the freezer door, just like, and now she is stuck up against the freezer door. Carver goes and grabs his axe, and she pulls her face off of the door, and her skin is stuck on the door, and he swings and she moves and he misses, and then she runs into the manager's office and locks the door. And she's trying to call 911 on her phone, but there's blood everywhere and she can't get it to work. And then she looks down at the security camera feeds and all the cameras, and he is gone. And then she slowly, like, I'm gonna get out of here. She opens the manager's door. She looks around. Nobody's there. She hurries up and runs out the back door to her car, and she's fumbling through her purse looking for her keys. She's like, fuck, where's my keys? And all of a sudden, her car turns on and the light head beams shine right on her, and the engine revs and goes right towards her. She tries to run away, but the car hits her as she goes up against the garbage can. Boom! And she gets cut in half, and her guts are pouring out everywhere, and all you see is the bottom half of her body. So around this time, this is when I realized we got a 90s slasher movie going on here, with the crazy dialogue from all the teenagers and this how they're talking, from what's going on with this small town. This is totally a 90s slasher. So let's talk about a couple more of the kill scenes in this. There's a couple like almost cutaway scenes. There's a few jump scares in this, but one of the more memorable scenes was when one of their friends gets taken by their dad's like, all right, no, we're going to go to Florida and we're going to get you away from here because all your friends seem to be like getting killed by John Carver. And so she's like FaceTiming with her boyfriends, like, I guess I'm going to Florida. She's packing. And this is the scene where the girl in the trailer gets the corn cob holders in her ears. And this goes down, it happens. And it's a pretty good scene. I really like it. I'm like, oh, what are they going to do? Because up to this point, to be honest with you, all the kills have kind of just been, there. They've been good, but nothing to write home about. And I'm like, man, are they just gonna have another generic kill here? Her friends show up because they're like FaceTiming with her. John Carver's chasing her, and the friends show up to save her. But um, even when the friends has the gun on them, but it has the safety, so you're getting all these tropes in these movies, like kind of like, this happened before, we recycled these type of scenes there before. But there's a saw blade in the middle of the room, and when he clicks the gun because it's on safety and he looks down at it, Carver turns on that saw and throws her friend on the saw. Okay, first her finger goes across it and this cuts her fingers off. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, and then this throws her body on it, and she is just getting cut up, cut up, cut up. Her boyfriend pulls her off, and her guts are just falling, and intestines are just falling out. And he's just like, what do I do? What do I do? And I was like, okay, now that was probably the best kill scene in Thanksgiving. All right, man, I know you have been waiting about the trampoline scene. Yes, they do have a trampoline scene in this one, and it is a different version of the one that they did in the trailer from the Grindhouse films. It was pretty good. What they end up doing is one of the other rival jock characters from the school that the one dude punched. Um, he gets called with his girlfriend, like, come on, come here. And they like go up to a trampoline, and he sits down. She's like to sit there and wait. She's jumping up on the trampoline, slowly starting to take her underwear off while she's jumping up and down. And he's like, oh yeah. But all of a sudden, John Carver shows up from behind and twists his neck all the way around. And then he disappears. And then she's jumping, and then she's pulling off her pants. And all of a sudden, the knife comes up through the trampoline, but she doesn't spread her legs and land on the knife like the trailer was. She lands right on her foot, boom, and she comes down again on her back, and it kind of was a different scene. Pretty good, no topless scene in it, maybe a little butt cheeks there, but that was the scene in this one. And now let's talk about the scene with the girl getting cooked alive, and she is getting buttered up, but she's awake, and she keeps her eyes closed. And when John Carver's back's turned, she's like looking around, and then he turns around and starts putting basil, salt and pepper in her up. And then the oven of the alarm goes off, so he goes and turns it off, and he comes back to get her, but she's gone. And we got a little chase scene right here where she's hiding. It's more like a hiding scene. She's here, he's looking for her over there, it goes back and forth. She ends up running out of the house, but he catches her by throwing the axe at her. Boom. And then she wakes up and she's in the oven and she is slowly getting cooked alive where it's hot, and she like touches the oven with her foot and she's like and then he opens up the oven. She's like, let me out of here. And then he jams in the cookie, the turkey cooker right into her, so when she's done it will pop open and shuts it up, and then she is slowly burnt alive. Meanwhile, John Carver is able to all of his victims. He's got at the table ready to eat Thanksgiving. He's got somebody's head. He's got that one girl, half of her body, because the girl that got shut with the frozen face and then cut in half, she's there. And then the friends and the final girl, they're there alive, but they're chained up. Final girl has a ring that has a little knife in it. And she's able to cut off the rope, and she gives it to the other guy and cut off the rope. And then they have a big old chase scene, and that was pretty much the cook scene. It was no, what they did in the trailer with him fucking the head of that turkey or whatever it was. Hey man, so just pretty much the final of this, the major spoiler here, the killer in this whodunit is Patrick Dempsey's character, the sheriff, the whole time. He was always telling the kids to go home. You need to be safe. Go home. But he was the one that was killing everyone because Gina Corshon's character at the beginning was his mistress, and she was pregnant with his child. And since she died, that was his revenge on the town. There was the real quick, go back to the whole Thanksgiving dinner scene. He is talking, but it's being the sound is being disoriented. It's being all muffled, and you can tell it's totally Eli Roth talking in this point. Eli Roth is talking as the killer, to the group and telling them pretty much his motive of why he is doing this. So, at the end of the scene, in the movie, the final girl is fighting Patrick Dempsey, sheriff, Lindell or whatever, and there's a big explosion that happens because she sets one of the not the propane, but the helium balloons up. One of the characters, a big old turkey, and then she loads up a gun with muzzle and fires it. It's a whole story, what's going on with the gun that they use. They kind of tie everything in together, but then it blows up, and then everyone's safe, but like they can never find the body, and they just think that John Carver incinerated because it was so hot, but they never found any ashes or any bones or anything like that. So they definitely leave it for him to come back. At the end credit scene, like that, not the end credit scene, very end scene, she's sleeping with that boy from like Zombieland School or whatever from Netflix, and she hears the door open, and then she walks over to the door, and all of a sudden John Carver, all burnt up, grabs her, but then she wakes up. It's a dream sequence, just like the 90s would do. Like fucking, that reminds me of I Know What You Did Last Summer, like a crazy little end scene like that. It's like, definitely a crazy 90s slasher film. All right, so let's talk about my final thoughts and ranking of Thanksgiving from Eli Roth 2023. Going into this movie, my expectations were super high, and I was going in thinking I was going to see a different type of movie. But then when I realized what type of movie he was making, I got like, whoa, this is awesome, a 90s slasher film. Eli Roth is giving us some retro feel, what 90s slashers was all about, with the dialogue and everything. So for that, definitely made me happy, because like I wanted something else, and what I got was something totally different. So it did throw me off a little bit. So leaving the movie theater, I was kind of like, yeah, what's going on? But after thinking about it and everything, I realized what the movie was about. And it was a straight up 90s slasher, throwback to like urban legends. I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream 1, Valentine. stuff like that. So, yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead. I got to do it. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I'm just gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Even with his throwback to the '90s slasher, it worked in some elements, and some elements it didn't work. The gore in it was good. I didn't talk about them actually cutting the mom's leg open him, and like the thigh, you want a piece of thigh, here you get it, and like him cutting in it, and you're just thinking it's a human leg. That was gross as hell. But man, still enjoyed the movie. Go watch it in movie theaters right now. It is out, man, because uh, if this movie does good, we can definitely get a sequel. And I'm down for a sequel, for real. Just because I gave it a 7 out of 10, that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It is a good movie. It is really good. And I just wish that it could have been a little bit more. Uh, that's all. I mean, much love to Eli Roth, and much love to you. And thank you for joining me in a Haunted Basement Studio. I was your host, Brent Bromberg, Triple B. And you guys, you keep it for later.